Well, congratulations to both of you on the new season.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So let's start with having you both talk a little bit about what the Hoes are facing this season and what you two, particularly the sort of story arcs that you're going to go through during the season.
Yeah, so season one focuses on Back Bin, so the patriarch of our family's direct family. Season two brings in some more fresh characters. Me and Bella were a little bit younger, so it's a different perspective on life, so it's not just about marriage and kids, but it's just navigating through our 20s and our career and our goals, as well as bringing in some members of Nate's family who we learned from season one is Judy's fiance.
Yeah. And then, so more in depth about our stories. So, I guess my main storyline is that I'm talking to my mother and dealing with her coming out and how it's our struggle in our dynamic and how she is still trying to figure out who she is as a person, but still trying to be my mother at the same time, and moving to a completely different state where I'm not around my friends anymore. We're moving in together, me and Kim, and I've never lived on my own before, and this is my first time, and I'm living with my cousin, so thank God. um, it's just kind of reconnecting and repaving our way with our families after being away for so long.
What's so great is that I think that our story is a real life struggles that an Asian American faces. Obviously, there's struggles that the first generation Asian Americans face, but we are generation 1.5. We've either were born in Vietnam and immigrated at a young age to America, or we were born here in America. And it's kind of a mixture of struggling between having a collective viewpoint versus an individualistic, and navigating and maintaining a balance between the two.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, talking a little bit about how the show, you don't see that a lot in reality TV with Asians being portrayed, and talk a little bit about what you think the importance of the show is in kind of opening up that world to, a bigger audience.
It's really great, more so recently, that all like the different movies and other types of shows that have been coming out with Asian representation. And it's nice to see someone who is similar background or has a similar type of upbringing on TV and to be so inspirational. And now I found it really important. The reasons why I wanted to come on the show, and Kim can probably agree, is that we wanted to share our stories and how there's so many things that everyone deals with. Like everyone has issues with their parents and their family members, and everyone has family drama, but it's nice to see that there's someone who's going through similar problems, and we're able to connect with people and kind of share that and make people feel as if they're not the only ones going through that. Because when you're feeling so down, it's easy to think that you're all alone, but you're not, and people can relate to you and be there by you and help you figure things out.
We all have our own unique story to tell, but of course there are always elements that are relatable. And being either a young Asian American or just an Asian American navigating through life, especially personally for me, I've always struggled to find a role model because there wasn't that much Asian representation on social media or in pop culture. And nowadays, due to those movies we were talking about and just reality TV show where it's very raw and realistic, because this is actually happening, we're able to share these stories and people are able to find some solace, because it's oh, that's my story. I'm not alone, like Bella was saying.
Yeah. What do you find to be the kind of tensions and differences between the generation? Because another interesting thing about the show is it has these different generations, and one generation that's maybe more tied to the home country, and the new generation here in the US, having a different sort of outlook. Talk a little bit about what some of the interfamily tensions and learnings that you have between the generations.
Yeah, so for our parents who were born in Vietnam and they immigrated here through a difficult time, they're having, difficulty of like being displaced from Vietnam and starting a new life all afresh. And the children of these immigrants, we have to show an appreciation of all the sacrifices they've given. But here in America, we've learned that there's a lot of importance on mental health and how these pressures could be detrimental to our mental health. And I think it's just navigating to be able to have an open dialogue with, our older generation, our parents, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles, to be free of judgment so that we can collectively, navigate through our life and then heal together as, they're trying to adjust from being, displaced from their home country and what they're used to.
And our parents, they had to struggle to make ends meet, and come here, and like they barely spoke English and they barely knew about all these laws and things that they had to take care of. And we come here with that kind of already taken care of for us. We have the luxury of going to like nice schools, like traveling, going on vacation, and even having to think about like how we feel, down and negative sometimes. Like they didn't have that time to do that. They just had to, my mom waited tables and staying all night long after she worked like a 12-hour shift. She just had to do that. So she didn't really think about mental health and all these issues that we have and we are like being more aware of. And that is a constant struggle you'll see throughout the show, is those two very different viewpoints and how we grew up and how do we, talk about those things together and navigate through those situations.
Yeah, so finally, it is reality TV. Was there a moment when looking back at the season that the cameras caught for both of you that maybe you wish they didn't catch, or something you wish you had a reshoot on?
Oh my God. There's a scene where I fell and I literally like stepped on my own toe, and they told me like, no, that's not gonna be in there. Like, you're fine. I didn't even catch that. And then I look at it and I'm like falling right there. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. Everyone falls. That's okay. So that was
If it's on film, it's going to be in there.
Yeah, that wasn't
No.
planned. I literally just stepped and I broke like my toenail after, but it's okay for the content.
Yeah, I also have a scene where we're paddleboarding, and I was actually the only one that was actually paddleboarding correctly. Like I stood up and like actually paddleboarded. Everyone was a little more nervous, so they like stayed on their feet or stayed on the board. But the only scene that they show is like me falling and my top almost like flying off. So it looks like I was the worst one at paddleboarding, even though I was the only one that was, actually doing it correctly. So I thought that was pretty funny.